Good morning, a good kvittel. Today is Zosh Chanukah, the 8th day of Chanukah, the day where it's brought down that what the tzaddikim can do on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, a Pashut Yid can do on Zosh Chanukah. It's brought down that Zosh Chanukah is the Hala from Yom Kippur. We missed out on Yom Kippur. It's a big day for Tfilas. May Allah Tfilas be Meskabel Tova, and everyone shows Shefer Bracha V'Atzlacha, and everyone should see Mashiach coming. Bimheri Minu Amen. Okay, today's shiur is sponsored. Yilei Nishmas Aaron Nachman and Simcha Cohen, Yeshua Mordechai ben Shepsel Bracha Sava Shmuel Lev and Binam Moshe ben Yosef. May the Neshamos will have an aliyah. And a full shlema for Adasar Bas Leah, Chana Pesel Bas Yenta, Yisrael ben Rachel Leah, Rachel Bas Pesel Zelda, Avram Yitzchak ben Risha, and Chaya Bas Doba Bela. For shlema of Soshar Chol Yisrael. And by our good friends, this year is also sponsored by our good friends at the Everest Equity Group. They are professionals in helping people save money on their mortgages. And if you want to, if you're in that parsha, definitely reach out to them. You can Google them, Everest Equity Group. Ask my friend Sam Fine. Okay, or contact me. I'll give you his number. I'm not putting that on YouTube. Sorry. Okay, let's get going. Perek Test, chapter 19 of Shabbos, the famous Perek of Rebbe Lezer, the Milah. Talks about Bris Milah. If you get a little queasy here, then I suggest you not listen to this. But Milah is a mitzvah. We got to talk about it. Okay. Obviously, Milah refers to circumcision, and we're talking about doing a Bris Milah when the 8th day from a natural birth. A baby born of a natural birth and his bris and his the 8th day falls on Shabbos. We perform the Bris Milah with all its requirements. If it's not on the 8th day, if the bris is delayed, or if he's born bein hashmashos of the previous Friday, because obviously baby who's 8th day of Shabbos means he was born on Shabbos. If he was born on, let's say, Friday evening between candle lighting and seis, then that's a suffix. What day it is, then his bris will be pushed off until Sunday. And if he's born from a C-section, then the bris is also pushed off till Sunday. It has to be a natural birth, and the baby has to be healthy enough to go through bris on the 8th day, which would be Shabbos. Okay, here we go. Rebbe Lezer says, Mishnah Aleph, Imlo Hevi Kli Me'er Shabbos. If one did not bring the instruments needed to do a Bris Milah, such as a knife or a scalpel, before Shabbos to the place where the baby is going to be circumcised, maybe Shabbos, he can bring it on Shabbos, even through a Rishus Harabim, because any malacha that's needed to do a Bris Milah is Doch Shabbos, even if it could have been done before Shabbos. Magula, and when bringing it through Rishus Harabim, he has to leave the knife uncovered when he carries it, to demonstrate how special the mitzvah is that we even are mechal Shabbos to do it. I mean, obviously you have to the knife has to be exposed, but you also need to be careful not that the blade should be like covered in a way so that it doesn't hurt anybody. Carrying, that's also dangerous. So you need to be careful with that. But however, in times of danger, when there's a time of shmad, that like by Hanukkah, right? One of the things that they wanted us to stop doing was Bris Milah. And we're learning about Bris Milah now on the 8th day of Hanukkah. How about that? Okay? So Mechasehu al pi Edim, that he should cover it in front of Edim before taking it out to avoid suspicion that they're doing anything wrong. So that the Edim can confirm that he is carrying a knife for Bris Milah and not a personal item. Rabbi Lezer says further, Korashin ate some lasos pechavim lasos kli barzel. If a knife is not available on Shabbos, we can even cut down trees, burn the wood to make charcoal, and then light the charcoal so the heat can be used to shape an iron instrument for Bris Milah. According to Rabbi Lezer, even though these activities are many steps removed from the Bris Milah itself, they are permitted because of Milah. Rabbi Akiva disagrees. He says, Rabbi Akiva said, well, Kol malacha Shabbos and a Shabbos. Any work that is possible to do before Shabbos does not override the laws of Shabbos. Therefore, preparations for Milah must be done before Shabbos if they involve doing malacha, since all preparations can be done before Shabbos. So we have Shabbos doche as a Shabbos. Any work that is impossible to do before Shabbos, meaning the actual Bris Milah itself, that is doche Shabbos, and you do the Milah on time. Okay, now there's a few steps to the Milah, to the circumcision. So one is where you remove the foreskin. That's called Milah, and then the remaining thin membrane, you get to prove that membrane is slit and pulled back. And that's known as Priya. So you need Milah and Priya. After that, you draw out some blood to prevent the swelling, and the wound is then treated with some medicine and bandaged. So we're going to talk about how these steps are carried out on Shabbos. Mishnah Beis. Shabbos. We can perform all that is needed for Bris Milah on Shabbos. We can circumcise, cutting out the foreskin and uncover the crown, the corona, by tearing and pulling back the membrane, since these steps are both required to fulfill the mitzvah. And we may draw blood out of the wound, but because we're not doing so, we put the child's life in danger. And you can place a bandage and crushed cumin on it to help the wound heal. And if one did not crush the cumin before Shabbos, he may not do so in the usual way on Shabbos, and this would be a malacha. Lo eis b'shina v'nos. Instead, he should chew the cumin with his teeth, which, because it's an unusual method of grinding, violates only at Issa Derabanan and places it on the wound. This way, he's not mechal Shabbos more than necessary. You need to do it, but you need to do it with as least chil of Shabbos as possible. Even though Tarav Yayim is Shem and Shabbos. If one did not beat wine altogether before Shabbos, it is also to do so. Oil and wine, they mix that together in a bowl and apply that to the wound as a medicine. So if you didn't do that before Shabbos, then it was usher to do that on Shabbos. Instead, you should put some wine in the bowl by itself, and then the oil should be placed into the bowl by itself so that they can mix the two together on their own. Since the oil and wine will heal the wound effectively without being beaten, it's usher to beat them together on Shabbos. We may not make a new shirt for the wound, like a new dressing, because doing so we consider completing a utensil. But one may wrap a cloth around it. If one did not prepare a cloth for Shabbos and bringing it to the appropriate place, he may wrap a cloth around his finger as if he were wearing it and bring it from a different house, even if he must pass through a courtyard in which it is also derabanan to carry. He may do so even if he is bringing it from a different courtyard in which it is an issa derabanan to carry. Mishnah Gimel. You can use warm water to wash the child who is being gemalt on Shabbos, both before the milah, so the child should have strength. after Milah and after the Milah to help the child heal. Although it's normally ushered to bathe in hot water on Shabbos, it is permitted because of Bris Milah. And we may not wash him in the usual way. Rather, we sprinkle water on him, and even this must be done by hand, but not with the utensil. Since sprinkling warm water by hand is enough to keep the child healthy, it is also to bathe him in the normal way. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, "Marchisa sekatam peyam hashlishi shechali Shabbos." We may use warm water to wash the child as we normally would, and may wash him even on the third day following his Bris Milah if it falls on Shabbos. Shenamar, as it says by the Ma'aseh of Shechem, "Vayhi b'yom hashlishi v'yosem ko'evim." It says that on the third day when they were in pain, that's when Shimon and Levi took advantage of their weaknesses to attack the city. Thereby showing that on the third day after someone is gemalt, he is still weak and in great pain, and therefore we can wash a child on the third day following his milah if it fell on Shabbos. Safek androgynous, when a child is Suffolk. When there's a child whose ability to survive is doubtful, because we're in a doubt whether he was born in the 9th month of pregnancy, as is normal, or whether he was born in the 8th month, in which he will not live long, and there's no mitzvah to come out him. The androgynous, or an androgynous, someone who is both male and female prior parts. So he's not legally considered a male, and therefore may not have to be circumcised. We may not, be machal Shabbos on his behalf by mauling him on Shabbos. Since you're unsure if there's even a mitzvah to maul these kids, then it's usher to maul them on Shabbos. Rabbi Yehuda matib androgynous. Rabbi Yehuda permits it in the case of a androgynous. The Torah says circumcised for every male, which includes every person who has a male organ, even an androgynous. Since there's a definite mitzvah to maul him, we may do so even on Shabbos. That's according to Rabbi Yehuda. Someone who has two infants who need to be mal, Shabbos, the one he was supposed to circumcise after Shabbos because he was born on the previous Sunday, and one he was supposed to mal on Shabbos because Shabbos is his 8th day. Let's say that one was born first, and the second one came out a little bit later. Shachach for mal eshel achar Shabbos, and he forgot which infant was which, and he was gemalt on Shabbos. The one that was due to be gemalt after Shabbos. Chayev, he is chayv doing a korban chatas, having been machal Shabbos by mistake. Since this infant is less than 8 days old, there is no mitzvah to mal him on Shabbos, and one who does so is chayv is machal Shabbos for no reason. However, if there was one infant who was supposed to be gemalt on Friday, because he was born the previous Friday, and one day was supposed to be gemalt on Shabbos, and he forgot which infant was which, and he was gemalt on Shabbos, the one that was supposed to be gemalt on Friday. Rabbi Elazar is obligates him to bring a korban chatas. Rabbi Yeshua potters him from mechatas. Although he was mechal Shabbos by mauling the wrong infant, his mistake was made in the course of trying to do a mitzvah, and he did, in fact, perform a mitzvah, and therefore Rabbi Yeshua holds that no chatas here is required, even though he did by mistake. Mishnah Hey, Katan, Nima Lashmona. We got 2 more to go. 26 Mishnayos today. Katan, Nima Lashmona, Vesisha, Ula Sara, Ula Charasar, Ula Shnemasa. The child is sometimes mal on the 8th day, sometimes on the 9th, sometimes on the 10th, and sometimes on the 11th, and sometimes on the 12th. Lo pachas the yoser, not earlier, not later, depending on when he was born. The earliest date for a mal is tamal child is tamal on the earliest date that child can, that a for maling a child can fall on any of these days, but never before, never after. Um, obviously we're talking about healthy kids over here. If a kid is sick, then then the bris will be delayed beyond the 12th day. But that's not the normal circumstance. Lo pachos la yoser, not earlier, not later, depending on when he was born. The earliest day for being malachal can fall on any of these days, but never before. Not we said that before. Okay, ha case. And how is it so? Kedarka lishmona. In normal circumstances, he's mal on the 8th day. Noah the ben Hashmashos, Nima Latisha. If he was born during twilight between sunset and nightfall, or we're unsure if it's still daytime or if nighttime had already begun, then he's come out on the 9th day. Okay, you want to make sure that you don't have a mistake of a day. Ben Hashmashos, so Erev Shabbos, Nimala Sarah. If he was born during twilight on Friday night, he is Gemalt on Sunday, which may be the 10th day. He cannot be Gemalt on the following Friday because it might be 7 days old. He cannot be Mal on Shabbos because he's not, because it's a suffix, whether it's 7 or 8 days, and therefore he's Malt on Sunday, which is in fact 10 days old. Yom Tov Shabbos Nimal Achadasar. If it was born during Ben Hashmashos on Friday, Yom Tov falls on the day after Shabbos and Sunday. He is Gemalt on Monday, which may be the 11th day. He cannot be Gemalt on Sunday because you can't mal a suffix on Yom Tov. And if he was born during Ben Hashmashos on Erev Shabbos and the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah were Sunday, Monday, which you can't do in today's calendar, Lo Adu Rosh. He is Gemalt on Tuesday, which may be the 12th day, since he may not be Mal on either day or Rosh Hashanah. Nowadays, you can restructure this and say that if he was Gemalt during Ben Hashmashos of, no, that wouldn't work. I was going to say about Yom Tov when Rosh Hashanah is Thursday, Friday, but then that does have the 8th day, which is on Thursday, so that would only work. Okay, fine. Maybe Pesach or Shavuos when you have a Sunday Yom Tov. Katan hacholev ein molin also a sick child who is not gemalt until he becomes healthy and remains so for a full 7 days to be sure that the milah will not endanger him. And the last Mishnah for today, Mishnah Vav. These are the shreds of foreskin, small pieces that remain from a foreskin that was not completely removed, that prevent milah from being valid. Basar flesh of the foreskin that covers a majority of the corona. As long as these shreds remain, then the milah is invalid, and the child is considered to be an oro, not circumcised. And therefore, Kohen who is gemal, but such shreds remain, he may not eat truma until they're removed. Thus, an oro Kohen may not eat truma. But if the child was plump, he has a lot of buster on his bones. Even after the foreskin is removed, the flesh above the corona droops and covers the area of the milah, making the child appear uncircumcised. He should fix it by cutting away the excess flesh because of Maris Ayin, the improper appearance. People are going to start talking about it. Following the removal of the foreskin of the priya, that priya is performed That means tearing the thin membrane that covers the corona and peeling it back, exposing the area of the milah. Umal v'lo para es hamila. If he's gemalt but did not uncover the circumcision by pulling back the membrane, ki'ilu lamal is as if he did not circumcise at all. Thank you for joining us. A good fito. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow at regular time around 9 o'clock.